You're listening to the Digital Deep Dive, where we tackle the newest trends, strategies, and pain points shaping growth across the digital landscape. From Amazon and D2C to international expansion, join our host and e-commerce leaders across multiple industries for in-depth discussions on how to maximize your brands in the digital arena. Now, here's your host, Aaron Conant.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Digital Deep Dive podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Conant. Today, welcoming an old friend back. We did one of these a few months back. It was kind of fun. So Chad here from Rise 25. I spend a lot of my time talking to brands and answering a lot of questions, and Chad is incredibly thoughtful in this space as a whole. And so he asked a lot of great questions last time, and I thought it was insightful and had some great feedback. So Chad, welcome back. You want to do a brief intro on yourself?
Yeah, sure. As you said, I'm an interviewer for Rise 25. I've got a background in journalism and in business, and interviewing. Even when I was just in radio, that was kind of my thing. So Rise 25 was kind enough to let me do that for them. So yeah,
awesome. Radio, huh? Let's go.
All right. Hey, so we'll just kind of bounce around from a few different topics that I think you probably have some pretty good insights on. We'll start with digital commerce trends. What do you think? What digital commerce shift do you think that brands should take most seriously right now?
It is the agentic commerce piece and being ready for it. A lot of that is playing into kind of the shift in SEO. So I have a lot of conversations around that right now. AEO, SEO, GEO, whatever it is. At the end of the day, it's content and how you're handling it. But now it's getting just more and more complicated. The content you're putting out there, how you are talking to the LLMs, and I'll elaborate just a little bit, because when we talk about agentic commerce doesn't mean anything if these LLMs don't recommend you at all. So the first step is, and there's an end result, which is the agentic, but the first step is, how do you get recommended in these LLMs? And that is a huge topic of conversation right now. And it's changing almost on a monthly basis at this point in time. So
5-10 years ago, when you're putting out content, you'd think like, what do our potential clients, viewers of our website want to read, and how do they want to read it?
Yeah, I'll give you a totally perfect example. Yeah, right. So think about your Amazon content as a whole. Mm-hmm. We go through, we do all the images, and then we build in the keywords into the product description, into the bullet points, into the title. And the purpose of that was people were reading the content, and there's two things. You were talking to the algorithm, mm-hmm. right? The keyword stuff. And the other thing you were doing in that content is kind of saying, hey, these are the key things, and this is how you're trying to influence somebody to convert and buy the product. And now, just in the past few months here, that's been totally upended. And if we talk specifically around, like in Amazon, people aren't reading those anymore. They're looking at the images, and that's what they're doing to convert. So now you have to take your key points that would convert. We'll say if you have something like a lifetime warranty, right? You're not putting that necessarily in the bullet points anymore. You're putting that stuff in the images. And why is that? Because the bullet points now you want to reserve in the title and the product description, you want to reserve for what the LLM is looking for, in this case, Rufus. And Rufus is determining what it's looking for based on what somebody is prompting. So nobody's prompting for, I want a new microwave with a lifetime warranty. Mm-hmm. Nobody types that in, mm-hmm. right? Might be 1,000-watt microwave, right? That might be something they type in, or, trendy, cool color microwave. Nobody's typing lifetime warranty. So take that out of the product description, take that out of the bullet points, build that into the images, because that's what people are looking at. And then use all of that text to talk to Rufus or the LLM to answer the questions that people are prompting for. And that is a huge difference. There's no longer keyword stuffing. Like, it doesn't make sense to keyword stuff. Like, you don't have to tell the LLM over and over and over again, lifetime warranty, lifetime warranty, lifetime warranty, lifetime warranty. It just doesn't matter. And so that is a huge change. And if you're not addressing that right now, on Amazon and then Walmart and every other marketplace you're on, you're slowly falling behind, and you're going to see things slow down, and you're going to wonder why. And that's going to be why. And the continuation of that is, how are you addressing all of your other content for LLMs that are looking for the answer to the prompts that people are making?
So LLMs are looking at more than just your blog page or whatever. They're looking at your product descriptions and everything.
Yeah. So it is, what they're not looking at really is images.
Okay.
Takes a lot more power, more tokens or whatever we want to call it. Like, it just takes too much for it to read an image. So it's not going in and looking at the image. It might be looking to see if there's an image on the page. It's different, but it's doing a deep dive on the text as a whole. And again, all of this could change in 2 months, right? Like, everything I'm saying now would be completely different in 2 months because they keep training and updating all of the LLMs that are out there. But yeah, it's super interesting just to see that evolution as a whole. But you will see yourself start to lag behind without a doubt. But yeah, it is. If you look at then the next layer, like, where are these going right now? Kind of the feeling is, and nobody really knows, but what it appears to be is that they're going to, if we all take like a ChatGPT or a Claude or whatever, it's going to retailer.com first, and then brand.com second, and then basically everything else with Reddit at the top of the list. So you want to know some like crazy trends, Reddit agencies are popping up, right? Like, there's a really cool one. I just did a podcast with Johnny Waite over at Reco, Recho. They are a really top-notch Reddit agency. You almost have to have one at this point in time. And the other side is, like, if you're even if you're not a direct-to-consumer brand, those LLMs are looking to your brand.com for information. So there's this like revitalization of like, oh, I'm glad I kept that website around, even though we don't sell anything on it. I actually need to start dumping money into it to get it up to snuff for all these LLMs and what they're looking for.
So then, accepting that as a reality, what are good things to start with for your bullet points?
Oh, at this point in time, jumping in, you have to find a tool that's going to do it, or an agency that's going to do it. And kind of the difference that's changed, if you think about the old way of looking at the keywords and what to put in there, the old tech would go in and it would take a look at like the top 10 bestsellers, and it would look at the things those had in common in the text and the bullet points. And then it would shoot you back recommendations so that you could mimic what the bestsellers are doing in any category or, any search term. That's kind of changed now, where you actually have to first understand what people are prompting for, what people are asking the LMs, like Rufus. How are they searching for products using it? And then you answer those things where people are saying, I'm looking for a, 9-volt battery charger, whatever, and making stuff up here, right? Then
Sure.
Are they searching for that or not? If they're not, then don't include that anywhere. But you can't just go based on what everybody else is doing and build it now, because not everybody, but everybody was made obsolete over the past like 4 months, and they have to go back and retouch all their content, which drives people bonkers, absolutely bonkers, because they've been optimizing for an algorithm for so long. The same thing is going on with Google and Gemini and their AI answer portion at the top. It's just it's a new world, and it's the interesting thing is it's changing faster than anything's changed in the past. So,
what do you say it's been the last 4 months?
Because I think people, when it came out, this stat that 30% of Black Friday shopping was done using Rufus at a 60% higher conversion rate. When those numbers came out, basically in January, and there's a lot of data that's put behind it, And people were like, whoa, well, we need to address that. And then they started doing the deep dive on how these LLMs are working and what they're doing. Um, it's taken this little bit of time where people are like, oh my goodness, like we really have to tackle this. This is a reality at this point in time. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to go back and touch content. The content demands are as high as they've ever been. You look at, okay, well, now I have to do Reddit. Like we said, you have to be on TikTok. If you're selling on Amazon, you pretty much have to be on TikTok at this point in time. It has to be part of your strategy. As long as it makes sense financially, I understand all of that. But for every one product bought on TikTok Shop, it's driving 3 sales to Amazon right now. And so you have to be thinking about that as an extension of your brand. So brand strategy. So again, you need content there. Everybody's trying to get on more marketplaces still. If they've been ignoring Walmart for a while, they shouldn't. They should be on it. Okay, well, that's different content. You can't just copy and paste from Amazon to there. Target is an interesting marketplace, a little more gated, but if people want to get on there, like all of these things, there's more and more content needed. And now it's changed the game. That's what it's done. It's crazy.
Would you say that brands are under investing or just taking an antiquated, antiquated by that I mean something that was relevant 6 months ago, taking an antiquated approach?
I think they're just exasperated. I think they just got into a pace with Amazon, and people were kind of comfortable. A lot of people jumped into Amazon right at the pandemic, and then they didn't believe that, all the stories were true about how crazy they were to deal with and how they didn't really talk to you a lot. And even if you're a vendor, you might be negotiating with the chat bot. But then they've kind of gotten comfortable with being uncomfortable with how Amazon operates. And then, it's a big part of the business, not just from a sales standpoint, but a product awareness and discovery and marketing channel. And then, so they'd fine-tuned a lot of their content, and for everything to just be upended,
yeah,
I think they're just exasperated. I think that's it. I don't think there's antiquated is, I don't know if it's the right term. I guess it technically is, but they haven't done anything because it's happened so quickly, and
sure.
They're so busy trying to tackle everything else in this age of AI.
Yeah. So people might say like, well, I don't have the time or the staff right now, the bandwidth to address all these things that I was just worried that I just tried to fix 6 months ago.
Yeah.
How can they, while AI is causing them problems, how can they use AI to help them, catch up?
So right now, it's tough. We do a lot of like dinners or webinars on this, and where people are stuck right now is they're being told by executive teams to use AI. And at the same time, they're being restricted on what they can plug into the network because all of these different AI tools are a potential security breach point.
Mm-hmm.
And so, they're being kind of relegated to use a lot of like Microsoft Copilot, or if they get the Claude extension or whatever to plug in there, it's a limited version of what's available out there. And so, how are they using it? Copilot, help me do a creative brief. Help me understand, this Excel spreadsheet or whatever it is. Like it's very limited. There's a lot of content creation tools that are popping up out there right now. A lot of them, brands run into roadblocks, just either plugging them in or legal or regulatory, or the brand team has issue with them. And so, because they're just not quite on brand. There's next couple weeks, I hope. There's a company called Path LLM that's doing some really cool stuff. It's on brand. We need the tools to get to the next level. One of the reasons the tools don't work is, so if you have an AI content generation tool or whatever it is, they're usually trained on a use case. They're first partner brands, and they spend a lot of time training the AI tools, train themselves with those brands on how to put out an amazing product, whatever it might be. Well, the issue is then you sit in and you see this AI tool and you see what it's doing for their use case brands, and it's amazing. And it really does work. When you plug that tool into your system, your content is in a different PIM, a different NAM, a different CRM, different ERP. It's just in a different spot. It's stored differently, and then these tools, they go looking, and it's not where it's supposed to be, and then they start making stuff up. Right? I think that anybody who's used ChatGPT has seen how it wants to give you an answer and wants to make you feel good, and so that's when the hallucinations start. Is when it has to it's trying to deliver an answer, and it makes one up instead of saying, hey, I don't have the right data or I'm not finding it. And so that's some of the things that are holding it back. I think over the next year, that's going to drastically change. The problem is a year in AI now is like 10 years before. And so,
Sure.
Yeah, it's tough to find the tools that work. You can write your own. I have a lot of people just trying to start to do that internally.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a larger organization, a lot of times they don't want you doing that per se. Like, you're huge. Yeah, they probably have an AI team, but they don't want just random people creating their own stuff and using it on the network. They'd rather have some kind of tech from a liability standpoint at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So,
are there risks that leaders should watch, would you say?
You have to have a human in the loop at this point in time. Yes. I think what a lot of people are finding is they're using this. If I'm a leader and I'm directing my team, I need to have the understanding that, yes, AI can help go do it. But right now, the amount of time spent double checking all the work, they'll say, well, it gets you 80% of the way there. Okay, well, 80%, but you don't know what 20% might be off. So then you spend your time going back trying to figure out in pressure test to find out where that 20% is. And that's what's difficult. And so the realistic gains that people are hoping for with AI aren't quite there yet. What is the other thing? So you have to have some kind of like almost an R&D budget in my mind, where you're allowing your team to go out and test stuff, whether that's in a sandbox somewhere, so it's not hitting the whole network. I don't really know. However, you want to try that out, you have to be trying these new tools. And the other one is, you have to go all in on the cybersecurity team, because if people on company are just randomly plugging stuff in, again, that's a security breach point that I'm doing we're doing a lot of events around that right now. Because you have one side, you have the executives like, use AI, and then you have the CIO and CSO being like, stop plugging things in, stop plugging it in. And then you have the people in the middle that are just like, well, what are we supposed to do then? So I still feel like I feel like these big data companies, or if we say like a Meta or a Google or an Amazon, I feel like they're at like step 3. And they've released things at step 2, and brands are still at step 1, right? They're not on the starting line. They're maybe at step 1, but stuff is coming out faster and faster that brands just at this point in time can't keep up with. They can't.
Sure. So I asked you like how can a brand catch up, and you said find maybe a tool that can help you. Why do companies often choose the wrong? I mean, there's so many tools just in my own little Google feed that could solve a lot of my problems, and I have no idea which one is, worth it or will actually be helpful.
I mean, I just tell people to network. Like, most people on LinkedIn, if you're a brand, so this is where this is where I spend a lot of my time, right? Like we'll do 80 to 90 dinners this year and a bunch of webinars and all that stuff. But then the other time, like, I'm just talking to brands, just connecting them, and then trying to help vet out a lot of these things. But I just tell people, if you're number one, hit industry people. Anytime you have a chance to go to an event, if you're a brand, another brand loves talking to you, unless you're a direct competitor. But build your network and build that core group of people you can bounce ideas off from. Yeah, we all get hit all the time with all the newest AI tool. A lot of those are just built off from ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. You can go build those little ones all on your own. Your larger enterprise or your mid-market, I mean, that you have to have a conversation. I wouldn't sign anything for, I think you give anybody 3 months, and after that, you have to get it month to month. You have to be able to have the out. I don't know how you sign something for a year now. A lot of these tech tools, you don't know if they'll be around in a year.
Right.
And I wouldn't commit to that unless the deal is really, really sweet. But it's got to be conversations at this point in time. Join networking groups, listen to as many podcasts, go to as many networking events as you can to chat with other people that are there and what they're doing. It's the only way to do it right now. Because everyone that pings you, right? They're the best thing since sliced bread, right? Like, just ask them. Just ask them.
Yeah. So, how is AI, would you say, changing marketing roles?
It's interesting. It's the content piece right now. What is going to be interesting over time is, can there be a tool that ingests all of your creative, that then we'll say it's a CDP that, or a PIM, maybe a DAM. You can make all of these now pretty much on your own. You have a repository for everything you make. It's got all your product details. It's got all your images. It's got all your creative that you've done, and you can plug it in, and then you can say, iterate on this and make me new on-brand content. And if you can get to that, then you can get to A/B testing really quickly. And if you can get to A/B testing, is it such a far stretch to think that you can go around an agency and you can plug right into a Meta platform and say, optimize for ROAS, or optimize for conversion, or optimize for new to brand. And in real time, if you give it a budget, it can place all the ads, all the bids, and constantly be calling for new creative and A/B testing and optimizing it in near real time. That's actually where I think we get at some point in time. The last piece then becomes agentic shopping, which is, okay, I've updated all my content. I'm everywhere now. I'm getting recommended in the LLMs, right? The next part is, are people going to buy within their shopping assistant, whatever it is, whether it's Claude-based one, ChatGPT, a Google-based one. Are you going to be at a point where you're talking back and forth, or you're typing back and forth with it, and it's making recommendations, and you're telling it to, yes, go buy? I think that's going to be closer to, probably you're not in front of a screen, you're just talking, and it will go buy. That's not an if, but when. Probably over the next year, it'll be really common. I should say by this time, 2027. The next piece would then be, are people going to be open to doing it? That's the next phase. Me, I don't know. I probably find it kind of cool every now and again. My kids, right? They're teenagers. They'll probably do it all the time. Why would I ever go to a website? Which then, what is the purpose of your website then?
Right. Wow. That's crazy.
Right. So then, are you building a website just to talk to the LLM? Or is you just structuring the data? And then the next one is the agent to agent shopping, which is your website has an agent built in to specifically help a personal shopping agent figure out what needs to be bought. That's where it probably ends up.
Huh.
Crazy, huh? We're in a weird world, Chad.
Yeah. Wow. World. Interesting stuff. So, you talked about the importance of networking and, talking to other people, peer-to-peer connections, and you host the Digital Deep Dive podcast. You talk to people on this show as well. Are there some themes that people often want to talk about, kind of as you speak to people on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a lot of what we're talking about here. It's AI. It's the where is it going? It's that I think like, what are people asking about right now to have a conversation on? So all of we'll do, I don't know, 150 webinars. And a lot of those, I'm just, people are just letting me know what they'd like to have it on. So if I riff through those really quick, AEO, SEO, GEO, how am I showing up in these? Agentic shopping is a curiosity right now, but before that, they have to tackle all the other pieces. Understanding Amazon right now and their push, it seems like they don't really care if brands go from 1P to 3P right now. And so a lot of conversations around that because Amazon's changing its fulfillment strategy a lot, going to smaller micro fulfillment, distributed logistics. So brands are trying to understand that, and if they can go 3P. What is it's not media mix modeling, it is incrementality measurement. That's a huge thing right now. With all these places to spend my money, from retail to TikTok, where's the spot I spend the next dollar and get the biggest bang for a buck? And what dollars do I turn off? That's a huge one right now, as people are just focused on profitability. What are other things that are popping up? Conversion rate optimization on your direct consumer site. That is a big one, trying to understand, can I A/B test and give different landing pages in real time? And trying to think of what else is out there. Those are probably the biggest ones. I mean, TikTok, again, like you should. I'm going to be doing a podcast with Navi Singh from Sova Social, SOHVA. She's awesome from a TikTok standpoint. That Reddit agency I mentioned, Reco.
So you said TikTok is like getting to the point where it's mandatory.
Yeah, if yeah, I think it is. If you're on Amazon, like it's just a product discovery engine. I know a lot of people, they test it out and it doesn't really work. It's where it's almost to the point where you need an agency. It's kind of where Amazon was back about, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. To figure it out and stay on top of it and not mess everything up and get the biggest bang for your buck for like right now until, we're 2 or 3 years in and people have got it, then you probably should just entertain having an agency that can do everything for you. Usually there's a bigger bang for the buck, but then also they're driving traffic to Amazon, which is huge. Amazon loves that organic offsite traffic showing up. So it boosts your relevancy on that side. Yeah, and then the biggest one for me that's popped up is just requests for a Reddit agency, but it makes sense because that's like of the third tier, they're clearly at the top of the heap. Google just signed an agreement with them. I think OpenAI might have signed an agreement with them. Like it's clear that Reddit is, Reddit knows where it sits and how they're using it. And that's it. I mean, there's so many questions and forums that are on there. If you're not looking at Reddit right now, you should go look at Reddit, search for your brand, and see who's actually advertising there right now. Who's interacting? Because I've had brands like do that exact thing and they realize that they've been basically ignoring it because why anyways, it was their mindset. Then they see that their biggest competitor or their biggest challenging brand competitor is like the only one on their forum answering questions and it's a forum based on their brand. So they have their competition in there basically just poaching people. That's one that I think has to be done. Just crazy. It's bonkers. And there's a lot of like that. You almost have to have a boutique agency at this time because I know there's the big, huge holding companies, but they just do it as like a side thing. It's not as intentional as it needs to be. So,
okay.
Yeah. Matt?
Wow. Well, this is a lot to take in. Some people are scrambling. A few people are probably thinking like, "Oh, I'm ahead."
But yeah, everybody know you're listening. Like, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can ping me and shoot me an email, Aaron, Aaron at bwgconnect.com. I love to jump on the phone. Like, we don't sell anything to brands. We're a giant networking group. We do a lot of webinars and dinners, and we help people find the right service providers. We help vet everybody out. There's over 8,000 brands in the network now. So it's kind of fun. Fun. That's what it is. It's a blast.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Hey, well, it's always great to talk to you, Aaron. Thanks so much for having me today.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, we're going to wrap up this episode of the Digital Deep Dive. Thanks, everybody, for listening in.